All right, let's talk about Anna's Archive. It's this enormous digital library that's become one of the most talked about and, yeah, one of the most controversial places on the entire internet. This whole story is really about access, it's about copyright, and it's about this fundamental debate over who actually gets to control knowledge. So let's get into it. You know the feeling, right? We have all been there. You're deep into some research, or maybe you're just trying to track down a specific book, and then bam, you hit a wall. You need a subscription, or you have to shell out a ridiculous amount of money for a single article. That exact frustration, that is the problem Anna's Archive claims it can solve for its millions of users. And when we say it has what you're looking for, the scale of what it offers is almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're not talking about some small, curated collection. The goal here is to be a library of, well, pretty much everything. Okay, so first, let's just talk about the books. The archive indexes over 51 million of them. And that's not just the stuff you'd find on the bestseller list. We're talking about everything from the latest hot releases to super obscure, out-of-print textbooks you can't find anywhere else. But believe it or not, that's not even the biggest number. It also points you to nearly 99 million academic papers. For any student or researcher out there, you know this is an absolute treasure trove of information that would otherwise be locked behind some very, very expensive gates. And this quote right here, this tells you everything you need to know about the platform's mission. It's not just about giving stuff away for free. The goal is way bigger, to create a permanent, totally open, and uncensorable archive of all human knowledge. It is an incredibly bold vision, and, as we're about to see, a deeply controversial one. So you're probably wondering, how on earth can one website hold all of this stuff? Well, the secret isn't in what it stores, but in how it searches. The way it's set up is pretty clever, and it's absolutely crucial for understanding its, let's say, shaky legal position. First, we've got to understand this term, a shadow library. Think of these as massive, user-supported databases that operate in the grayest of legal areas on the internet. Their whole purpose is to provide free access to copyrighted material. And here is the key distinction. This is so important. Anna's Archive doesn't actually store a single one of these books or papers on its own servers. It's more like a master key, a meta search engine that just points to where the files are located on other shadow libraries. It's a small detail, but it's one its operators rely on big time. So where is it pointing to? Well, it scrapes and indexes content from the absolute giants of the shadow library world. You've got zLibrary, Library Genesis, and Sci-Hub. By pulling from all these different places, it creates one single unified search bar for all of it. Now, the timing of its creation was no accident. Anna's Archive popped up in late 2022, just a few days after U.S. authorities took down zLibrary, which was one of the biggest players at the time. It literally rose right from the ashes, and it was designed from the ground up to be more resilient and way, way harder to shut down. But look, this isn't just some technical story about servers and code. To really get why millions of people use a site like this, despite all the risks, we have to look at the human side of things. And for so many users, it all boils down to one powerful idea. And that idea is academic poverty. It's the very real struggle for students and researchers, especially those in developing countries, who are completely priced out of the knowledge they need to learn and to innovate. I mean, a single textbook can cost hundreds of dollars. Journal subscriptions can cost thousands. This whole situation creates a really powerful cycle. You start with these incredibly high publishing costs. That leads to inequality and a lack of resources for so many people. That creates academic poverty, which then drives people to digital piracy, what some see as a kind of necessary Robin Hood move to redistribute knowledge. And this isn't some abstract theory. This quote from a user on Reddit, it really puts a human face on the problem. When a single book costs more than half of what you earn in a day, the whole ethical debate about copyright law can feel very, very far away. But hey, it's not just about the cost. People also use Anna's Archive to get around government censorship, to find books that their underfunded local libraries just don't carry, or to track down rare texts that are completely out of print. And for some, it's pure philosophy, inspired by activists like Aaron Swartz, this core belief that all information should be free for everyone. Well, you can probably guess what happened next. All of this activity did not go unnoticed by publishers and copyright holders. The platform is now facing a massive, worldwide wave of legal challenges. Right now, the biggest fight on its hands is with OCLC. That's the nonprofit that runs WorldCat, which is basically the world's largest library catalog. OCLC is alleging that Anna's archive didn't just scrape data, they say it was a full-blown cyber attack where they stole 2.2 terabytes of records. And the damages they're looking for? They are staggering. We're talking over $5 million, and that's just to cover the cost of cleaning up the mess from the data breach. This lawsuit is a very direct, very serious threat to the archive's future. And the pressure is absolutely coming from all sides. Internet providers in several European countries have been forced by courts to block access to the site. Here in the US, it's been officially slapped on the notorious markets list, which puts it right in the crosshairs of federal law enforcement. All of this legal heat means users really need to be careful. Security experts recommend a few key steps. A VPN is crucial for hiding your activity. An ad blocker is a must to avoid malicious ads and those fake download buttons. And of course, you should always be running antivirus software. For those who are extra cautious, you can even verify a file's digital fingerprint to make sure it hasn't been tampered with. Ultimately, the battle over Anna's archive is about so much more than just one website. What we're really seeing is a clash of two totally different ways of looking at the world and at information itself. So on one side, you have this core belief that information wants to be free, that knowledge is a public good and it shouldn't be locked away. This side is all about preservation and universal access. But on the other side is the argument that creators, the authors, the researchers, the publishers, they have to be paid for their work to keep the whole creative system going. That side champions copyright. Anna's archive exists right in the fiery center of that unresolved tension. And it's really important to remember, there are some fantastic and totally legal alternatives out there. You've got Project Gutenberg for public domain classics, the Internet Archive lets you legally borrow digital books, and hey, don't forget your own local library. You would be amazed at what you can access for free with just a library card. Which brings us to the final and maybe the most important question in all of this. In an age where any piece of information can be copied and shared around the world in an instant, who should be the gatekeeper of knowledge? Should it be publishers, governments, or should it be anonymous archivists? The story of Anna's archive proves that this question is more urgent and way more complicated,